Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brzee Abundance Masterclass. My name is Gina, and I'm honored to introduce you to Dr. Bhaskaran Pillai today. He's an enlightened master and mystic from the Tamil Siddha tradition of southern India. He's a globally renowned speaker and teacher who has brought the secrets from his lineage to the West and has helped millions of people all over the world change their lives through these simple, practical, and effective techniques. In fact, one of his earliest students, Dr. Wayne Dyer, referred to him as one of the most enlightened beings on the planet. Today, Dr. Pillai will be revealing special Siddha secrets that he's encapsulated into the Brzee Abundance System. He's been receiving these insights from Saint Vishwamitra, the co-creator of Brzee mantra, as well as the Brzee archetypal goddess herself. And he will be sharing these and his insights today. This masterclass will be about 90 minutes in length. At the conclusion of today's event, Dr. Pillai will be giving us an empowerment and a special technique with the Brzee mantra. So you definitely want to stick around for that. After you receive this empowerment and meditation, you'll be able to immediately put this into practice and experience the Brzee abundance consciousness for yourself. He'll be taking us through 6 steps of the Brzee abundance system so that you can learn about the process of integrating Brzee deeply within the body, mind, soul, and beyond. When you registered for this class, you received a workbook. Now is the time to get it if you printed it out, and we definitely encourage you to take notes, and please note anything that you would like to refer to later. Now we'll hear from Dr. Pillai.
Welcome to everyone in this very, very special class. I gave the title, Rediscovering Brzee. I once discovered it in the late 1980s, somewhere between 1986 to 1988. And after that, it was given to me by this Vedic Rishi, Vishwamitra. And then we refined it, we co-created it to the conditions of today with some adjustments in the phonemes. What is Brzee? Brzee is the sound that can activate your wealth consciousness. People are not able to have wealth in their life because of the absence of wealth consciousness. And Brzee is the mantra that was designed by this saint to give wealth consciousness to people. So what we are going to get in this program is wealth consciousness. And that is more important than anything else as far as this program is concerned. You know, if you wanted me to talk in terms of modern science, we have to make some adjustments in the brain. I have here my own brain, which is my baseline. So somebody will explain to you in the next week or so, before Brzee. And this is my brain of what Brzee does. So for me, this is very precise. That's why I got involved in understanding the sounds as phonemes, because the basic unit of this sound that we can study reasonably is a phoneme, like A, E, I. These are all phonemes. And how these phonemes can go and significantly change our brain. And that I have done research at the Brain Science International, San Francisco, at Harvard Medical School, where we did the fMRI studies. So we are living in the 21st century. Mantras have to be taught in the light of modern science so that people can understand what it can do. So the bottom line is science is repeatable. Science you can trust. But whereas religion, God, are not in that domain. And that's why Einstein said that religion and science have to come together. They are both incomplete. And that is also my stand. So this program is going to be more scientific than it is religious. Because I want to, as much as possible, speak an idiom that is understandable for the 21st century. So the old language is, in the beginning there was the word, and God said, let there be light. Light was there. God said, and let there be flesh, and the flesh was created. It's all through the word, the sound. And it was enough to explain that in those days, in the biblical days, to say that the sounds can manifest. But now we want to know more how sounds can manifest. So I have to talk about spring theory. This is the latest theory that says that matter is ultimately produced by string sounds. And I have to come and say, these are the areas that are associated with unlimited consciousness, which are not controlled by logic, because logic is the problem that is preventing us from manifesting. And I just remember today, Wayne Dyer, who promoted me, when I told him, you give a lecture for 2 hours, 3 hours, all that is needed is just one phoneme. And I just gave him the sound ah, it will do everything. And he did many miracles with that and wrote a book, Manifest Your Destiny, and dedicated to me. But now, at that time, I did not know Brzee. Otherwise, I would have given him the Brzee. Brzee came later on. And this Brzee sound is more specifically the sound that can activate your financial brain. And if you are a psychologist, you would know there are brains have been studied in terms of profession. For instance, a taxi driver's brain, a politician's brain, a financial guy's brain. They are all different. They are all different because one does not activate the other. And here, we are going to activate the financial brain, Brzee. And so we'll get a few samples. I think I have asked somebody here to do a full analysis and show it to you what is going to happen in the brain. And that is, to me, the most important thing. Well, for this program, I'm going to I have one goal, and that goal is to move human consciousness with its inherent scarcity consciousness to abundance consciousness. I want to repeat, to move human consciousness from its inherent scarcity consciousness to prosperity consciousness or wealth consciousness. And that is the goal. And once that is done, everything is done. It's not that you are going to chant Brzee and money is going to fall off the roof. No. Everything should happen within the brain, within the heart, within the soul. And then everything will happen. So it is a matter of changing your consciousness from scarcity to abundance. And how are we going to do that? We are going to use the sound, Brzee. And Vishwamitra, the emperor, wanted to give a great life to his citizens, as great as his life, the king's life. But he knew that he can't do this with the money in the treasury. He will run out. So he wanted to use a technology, and that technology is Brzee. Let me change the minds of the people. As good as I think, I have no scarcity of consciousness, but if they can get into that consciousness, then it is all done. I wish modern politicians, presidents and prime ministers and kings should begin to think in these terms. They should have the life that I have. And then he was coming up with this technology, a mind-changing technology, so that you all have a royalty consciousness. That was his idea. That's how Brzee came about. I've taught Brzee after I received it, and I have been hard-nosed all my life, even today. So I had a very love-hate relationship with Brzee because I just wanted the technique to work, faster, And to me, it was not working fast, so I gave it up. And then I got back. I gave it up. I got back, and now have I come back with more wisdom, more rediscovery of the power of the sound. And more, it came through more revelations, of course. So I'm going to teach now this technique very differently. And that is going to be getting the sound into the whole personality. Getting the sound to your DNA and even beyond, to your soul. And if we can get the sound to your soul, then that is the most important initiation. And in that initiation, the soul is much more powerful because it's the soul that animates the entire body-mind. So we go to the very root. And then my guru used to say, water the root and enjoy the fruit. Don't go about watering the trunk, leaves, and flowers. And what is the root here? The soul. So the first module, there are 6 modules that I'll be teaching over this 6 months period. The first module is how to get the sound into the soul. Where is the soul? And the soul is in the heart, according to some yogic traditions. No, it is in the third eye and in the pituitary. Or some say it is in the pineal gland. So I'm going to do something that covers everything so that I don't want to leave out any part, whether the heart or the pineal or the pituitary or the third eye. When you infuse this sound Brzee into the soul, then it will pass this sound to the entire body and mind. And how does this sound work? Because the rational mind kicks in, and how does it work? Creation is a matter of revelation. If something is revealed, something begins to show up, and that's what is revelation. Something has to show up, come out of chaos. it becomes clear. Creation, at one point I used to define it as creation is clarity. And I worked on it for many years to come up with this definition. Creation is clarity from chaos. I do not know how to make $1 million. As long as you do not know, you won't do that. And how do you know? How do you know the knowledge to create? By delving deep into your own brain, your own mind, your own consciousness through various devices, and Brzee is one. Brzee uses a sound to bring legibility. They have to be legible, visibility, and sounds are the very fundamental principle for creation. This is the finding of the rishis, the finding of quantum physics also. Even the particle is created by the strings, the sounds. And Brzee is one of the strings, one of the bosonic sounds, one of the fermionic sounds. And if you have the sounds, then you will understand how you can create. So what we are going to do, we are going to give this sound Brzee into the third eye. The third eye is in the physical, not in the physical body, but in the astral body. But then there are physical correlates. And it comes under both the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. It's very interesting. According to the mystical traditions, the pituitary plays a very important role in scarcity consciousness. See, you want to make $1 million. The pituitary says, no, how? It's not possible. Your salary is only $10,000. How can you make $1 million? So it stops. The pituitary stops the thought. And then says, discards it. But whereas right above the pituitary is the pineal gland, it has the ability to do it. It can conceive of anything. There is nothing that it cannot conceive, the pineal gland and the DMT, the dimethyltryptamine that secretes there. So what we need to do, what we are going to do in this technique is we are going to get rid of the negativity of the pituitary by applying sounds there. And we are going to enhance the abundance of the pineal gland by working on that. Both of them are in the third eye. The third eye is starts from here and then goes here. It's a vertical eye in the subtle body. And then we also will do in the heart, but that will be in a different module. So that is how we are going to introduce Brzee to your soul, which is your root. And this I have not done before. This is the first time I am doing it. That is a rediscovery. I have a few things that I'm looking at here so that I don't want to miss anything. Now, the soul is not in your control. You have inherited this soul. from who? From your parents, both sides, grandparents, great-great-grandparents. They have contaminated it with scarcity consciousness. What are you going to do with that? So you are not going to be thinking, you are not thinking your own thoughts, you are thinking their thoughts. So although you try to bring your own thoughts and then read books like Napoleon Hill and say, think and become rich. So you read that book, you are charged up and then say that I'm thinking rich, and I'm going to make it work, and it doesn't. Why? Because of the soul. The soul that you have inherited is contaminated. So we have to remove this contamination. So if you want to know more about this, I have videos called Soul Genetics. Soul genetics is just as you have inherited biological genes, biogenetics, you have also inherited soul genes. So there is, what are you going to do about it? That you can do something about it. How to clean up that soul energy so that you will be able to manifest freely with the new knowledge of Brzee. So we will teach during this program a soul cleansing technology called Tarpanam to clean the contamination from your mother's side and the father's side for generations, because you are not different from them, just as the genes are not different from the biological genes are not different. So that will also be done. So soul, at the soul level, you are going to clean up. That's one module, which will be just for 1 month, I believe. We will engage in trying to clean up the soul. That's important. The second model is the mind. And this is a very tricky thing, the mind. The mind is not only inherently programmed with negativity and scarcity, it is also out of control. If your mind can hold Brzee for, say, even 5 minutes without any break, you have accomplished. You cannot. Thoughts will come and then distract you. The problem is the mind. The mind is a monkey. It moves from one tree to another, like the monkey, one thought to another thought. We have a minimum of 35 thoughts in a minute. Do we need it? We don't need it. We don't need these 35 thoughts. So it's there is a bug in the system. It's an engineering fault, which we have not corrected it. Although Patanjali, the father of yoga, he wanted to correct it. Patanjali doesn't blah, blah. If he goes to him, he will speak in 2, 3, 4, 5 words, not more than that. And within that 5 words, he will say the solution. The solution for the mind is stop the mind. Chitta, vritti, nirodha. And how do you stop it? He will give you the sound to stop it. This sound will cancel your mind. Chit, vrit. The sound it will cancel. Stop the mind. So these are people who had complete control over their mind, over nature. And that is Vedic science, that is the Siddha science. So we have to infuse our mind with the sound, Brzee, so that instead of thinking 35 thoughts in a minute, it goes on thinking Brzee, 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 Brzee. But what happens, you have said Brzee a few times, then thoughts come and you do not know what to do. The thoughts are so powerful. And the thoughts, I don't mind if these thoughts are going to be really outrageous thoughts. They are thoughts of great ideas are coming to you. And through these thoughts, they are not. They are all called karmic thoughts. Karmic thoughts means the thoughts that your ancestors had thought, the thoughts you had thought in your previous incarnations, all these thoughts are there. They are worthless on the one hand. On the other hand, they are restrictive thoughts, mediocre thoughts, scarcity thoughts. So we have to change these karmic thoughts. And then only we can introduce the sound, Brzee. So I will teach many methods of how to deal with your mind, how to give it a repetition technique, and how to go engage the mind in the sound, step by step by step. And also completely bring it to a condition of vacuum. The mind becomes the subtlest. We do not know if the mind is there or not. At that time, you will introduce the sound. This is Patanjali's method. You introduce the sound when you have minimum the mind stuff. And he says, even the soul is not there. No. Even the soul is kept away. There is a consciousness, very the rock bottom level. And at that time, you introduce the sound, Brzee. Then you manifest. Then it gives you the consciousness, the abundance consciousness. Then I'm also going to talk about how your mind is affected by time. There is uptime, there is downtime for everyone. Some days are better than others. Some days are really bad. Psychologically, financially, relationship-wise, you have all these ups and downs. Why? The planets play a vital role in governing your mind, emotions, feelings. And they all occupy a certain time. And we are not aware of that. So we think that we just go on thinking thoughts, not looking at if there is any other way for me to know why this thought came to me and how can I deal with it. The ancient people The yogis thought about it. And then they found there is a direct relationship between the thoughts that you have and then the planets. Their transits affect you. I have experienced this in my life. Whenever I was running, when I ran my life, 6 years of my life, under the influence of a planet called Ketu. Ketu is one of the planets related to asceticism. I became a monk. I became a Swami. Right after my PhD and everything, so I just threw away everything and then I just put on a dress and then I left home. And after that, the period was gone and then the Venus started and then I started, cutting my hair, putting my suit on and then the change. It's not a huge chunk of period. Even within a day, all these changes are happening. And we have an app several apps that can tell you how to control that by looking at the apps. And also, I'm just now, for a very specific reason, facing north and doing this video. Why? North is the direction for attracting wealth. South is the direction for losing wealth. This is a general rule. North America, South America, North India, South India. There's more wealth in North India than in South India. This is also applicable even within a limited space here. So whenever you are going to do Brzee, face the north. Better northeast, then your mind will be aligned. Then Brzee will be more powerful as you practice the technique. I'm glad that I'm mentioning this. I can mention as much as, but I cannot go through the entire syllabus. But what I want you to do is, I have written up a syllabus that is posted. Go and look at this syllabus. And then you may want to do your own research also. I'm throwing a lot of concepts. And these concepts can be further understood, and you can do your own research to do that. Understanding is very important. So when you face the north and do Brzee, and holding a turmeric in your hand and then doing Brzee, or lighting a lamp with the ghee put in hands. All these things will be considered in the 6 months program. Now, the goal of module 2 is moving your mind to scarcity thoughts to abundance thoughts. Scarcity consciousness to abundance consciousness. Once that is done, everything is done. That's the most important thing that we need to do, is to change of mind. Changing the mind is everything. And that is also changing the brain. And that's why I wanted to show the brain before Brzee, the brain after Brzee. Or if you have, I just bought a machine for $30,000 just to most of the time that I am here in San Diego, but the machine, and watch what happens in my brain. That's how I'm able to pinpoint, well, here is what can be done. So I'm combining religion with science, yoga with science. So that is module 2, and we are now going to module 3. We have considered getting the sound into the soul. Also, we have considered getting the sound into the mind. Now, we have to also get it into our body. That's very important. Infusing body with Brzee. And I call it as embodying Brzee. We don't see the mind, we don't see the soul, but we see the body. And the body is very important. Okay? And the body is the door to our mind, is the door to our soul. And the most important thing are the senses. So we have to get Brzee into our eyes first. Why eyes? You are learning creativity. Brzee is a creative sound. The sound brrr is creative. The sound of God, the God of creation, or creator God in India is called Brahma, Bra. Bra is also birth, Indo-European language. So you have to get Brzee into your eyes. The whole creation is just for the enjoyment of the eyes. There is no creation without your eyes. You go to sleep and then the building disappears, everything disappears. When you open your eyes in the morning, everything comes back. Okay. So what is necessary is to understand the eyes and how to get Brzee into your eyes. You have to create, they will also get them into your ears. You have to get them into your tongue. The tongue, not that the ears are not important. Ears are very, very important. Because when you hear Brzee, sometimes you may want to play Brzee and listen to it, because that's more powerful. You know why? You are not doing anything. You are just only listening. That doesn't involve any effort on your part. The sound goes in to the ears. And that is very powerful. You can see changes in the brain when you are hearing. So we have done research on hearing, and then thinking, and then vocalizing. So Brzee is vocalizing. Then you hear somebody, the MP3 player is playing, you are hearing. And then you are thinking, they are all different. They are all different. And for those of you who may not be able to do the whole program, I will tell you what the difference is, so that you go with some information. You may want to do research, further research. Hearing is important. Because it has no effort of your own. Vocalizing is important too. Because vocalizing has, when the speech comes out, there is an energy that goes to build the reality that you want to build. It's a very complicated topic, so I don't want to say anything about it. Why speech is so important. Okay, let me not go any more into that because I have so many things to cover here. The tongue. The tongue is in the body, you know. You can deliver this sound to the tongue, and the tongue will do a wonderful job. It will take the sound to the DNA. The saliva will pick up the sound more than anything else. And not only that, that is on a biochemical level. On a experiential level, the tongue is a pleasure center, is an emotional center. Everything that we want to enjoy totally, whether food or sex or kiss or any of these activities, the most emotionally charged acts are associated with the tongue. So much of literature available just on the tongue. So you can get the tongue into your body, into your emotions. And the way emotions, without emotions, you cannot meditate, you cannot manifest. Just like procreation is emotions. Even recreation is also emotions, this is what I told Wayne Dyer when I said emotions are important. Without emotions, you cannot create. You want to create a baby or a building or a car or whatever you want to create, emotions. So Brzee working with the tongue will do the job. I'm very happy, as I'm speaking this to you, that this is going to be a comprehensive program. This 6 months, if you just dedicate yourself to doing that, I'm sure you will be able to change your scarcity's consciousness to, get into the abundant consciousness. I've been told that the time is out, so I will stop here, but I will come back again because once I get involved and I don't know where to stop. There's a lot to cover. I have not covered too much.
There is a lot to cover. Dr. Pillai, so we do have a couple questions from the chat, if you would mind.
Yeah.
Some of those. So folks, you have been sending your questions in already, but please send any others that you would like to have Dr. Pillai answer. We won't get to all of them, but we'll try to get to a few. So one question that has been asked several times is that you had introduced Shreem Brzee, both mantras, several years ago. Hundreds of thousands of people over the world have been chanting that. What is the difference between Brzee and Shreem Brzee?
Okay, good question. So when I introduced in the 1998 or so, it was just only Brzee. At that time, I was also called Maharishi Brzee. It came later on, Shreem Brzee, because I introduced the change, because people did not relate to Brzee. What is this mantra? There is no such mantra in the scriptures. So we don't understand. Now you say this is a form of Lakshmi. And people said that we are not able to relate to it, particularly in India. So I thought that it will be better for people to relate to something known, and Shreem is Lakshmi's mantra. Okay. So I introduced Shreem as a suffix, prefix to Brzee and called Shreem Brzee. So they were happy. And that also enhanced. And for the people who wanted to relate to that mantra. That is how Sreem got introduced. So now the question is whether I should say Sreem Brzee or Brzee. Okay. You can do both. There's no hard and fast rule. And if you want to be very regimented, do Sreem Brzee in the morning meditation, Sreem Brzee in the evening meditation. Or one, you can even still do Brzee in the morning or Sreem Brzee in the evening. That's fine too.
Great, thank you. We also have a question from our chat, our viewer. His name is Cole Shukla. Thank you for asking. He asked, does the brain contain mind, or does the mind make the brain work?
Well, it needs a few hours to talk about what is mind and what is, and then again, since I know Sanskrit, the word mind is only a part of consciousness. There are so many classifications there, chitta, buddhi, ahamkara. These are all levels of the mind. But for English purposes, mind is used in a very, like a blanket term. And the brain. One theory that I personally subscribe to, everything comes, the mind, although the brain is working, the mind actually comes from outside. This is a very revolutionary theory, and the mind is only a receiver of thoughts. Thoughts are outside from the Akash. The scientists won't accept it, but that is my position. So the mind, although it comes from outside, the brain has to work in order to produce this thought. Okay, but so they both have to work together.
Okay. And another question we're receiving is, is there a difference between Lakshmi, Sreem Brzee, and Brzee in terms of the archetype, the goddess?
Well, they are all of the same family of archetypes that are in charge of giving you abundance consciousness. It's like the archetypes will have slight variations because the archetypes is used in the Jungian sense. The archetypes of old man is an archetype. A wizard is an archetype. The wizard will appear like a Santa Claus or a Siddha or a yogi or someone in another place, in another region. So there will be cultural variations, geographical variations, but they are all one and the same, belonging to the same family. They have one functionality, and that is to give you abundant consciousness.
Thank you. Here's a question from one of our viewers, Lars. He said, when I repeat the mantra in my third eye and chant out loud, let's say for 2 hours a day, for many months, will I change my consciousness to wealth, or do I need more techniques as shared in the new program that you're releasing?
Well, if you just want to stick on to that one technique, better do it. You don't have to join the program. But then why is the program there if there is only one? Okay. But then the mind needs to be addressed from multiple directions. To the body, we have to address the eyes, ears, and then the desire, emotions. Okay. So if you do multiple meditations from the 6 modules, you will get more. Okay. And even this is just limited, even this is limited. It has to be customized. The customized program is better. And then even when you customize, somebody might come and say, I have already a few $1 million. Will it work? There are people who have asked me. And then there are people who have made billions, okay, with this technique. So they would need more attention. So there are gradations. So if you, for whatever reason, want just only to hold on to putting this meditation on the third eye, that's fine.
Okay, great. One last question. When chanting Brzee, should I be focusing on my desired outcome, what I want to create?
Yes. Yes. I will talk about it when I give you the meditation at the end of the session.
Okay, fantastic. So those are our questions for now, folks. You can continue to post, and maybe Dr. Pillai will answer a few more later. Now Dr. Pillai will go right into the next 3 steps of this system.
Yeah.
Unless you...
Okay. The 4th module is about the heart. Is there a heart? There's a lot of discussion whether there is a spiritual heart or the physical heart, or the heart chakra. A lot of complications. For all practical purposes, just it is the physical heart as well as the spiritual heart. That has consciousness also. Heart has its own consciousness. You always say, my heart says something, my head says something. Oh, can the heart think? Yes, the heart can think. But it is more intuition. That's why the heart is considered the soul center. It will think beyond logic. It will intuit, a pure intuition, which will turn out to be most of the times the right thing to do. But you cannot just go by heart either. So what happens is we have to now juggle between these two. And eventually the heart will win. You'll end up doing only heart. And also there is an expression called heart's desire. This is my heart's desire. So is it a heart is a blood pump and it has a desire? It's not just a blood pump. A very powerful consciousness stays there in the heart. And the desire, emotions, are in the heart. Not only the emotions are in the heart, the highest wisdom is not here in the brain, it's here in the heart. Even Patanjali, the father of yoga, says heart carries the highest mind, highest intelligence. Shiva Sutra says, here is the heart. Eventually, there will be a connection established from the head to the heart. And if that is established, then you will have greater thoughts in the heart. And then you are going to do Brzee in the heart. Because doing Brzee in the heart You will emotionalize the sound. And your desires will become pure. That's the important thing. So one of the important things of doing Brzee in the heart. And I just remember the person who asked the question, if do I have to do only on the third eye? And this will be also a part of the answer. That will be more in the domain of the mind, but will be the domain of the heart. So I would answer him saying that, why don't you do this and do this? That's why this program, I just came before this camera to give you as much information as possible, as much techniques as possible that you can yourself do. Okay, there is no need if you don't have money to do this program, well and good. So it is comprehensive by itself. And it is going to be on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, or Pillai Center's page. So you can do that here. Desire. Can you meditate? Can you manifest anything without desire? You cannot. But what's the problem with the desire? The problem with the desire is you have inauthentic, psychotic desires. What are the psychotic desires? I want a Rolls Royce, I want a, mansion, I want a helicopter, I want this, I want that. Do you believe that? You don't believe that. Is it authentic? It's not authentic. The authentic desire is that which never leaves you. In life after life after life after life, it comes, whether it is a girlfriend or a car or a home or everything. That desire will be there. And it never changes. And in this, for some reason, I think about Donald Trump. I was doing research on him about his desire. I watched a video, 1980s video. Donald Trump was quite a young man with Tom Brokaw, and he was criticizing these people do not know how to run a government, particularly finances. And money is being wasted. And then Tom Brokaw asked him, hey, why don't you become a president then? He said, no, that's not my problem. I'm not going. But at the same time, I knew from reading the words he said that he wanted to become the president. 1980, that desire will be there subconscious. And how long did it take? 1980, 20, nearly 35 years or so, more. So you have to have the desire. And here is the $1 million question, or $1 billion question. Most people don't know how to desire. How to desire. Why? Because in previous lifetimes, they were in a monastery probably, asceticism, renunciation, and they are born with that consciousness, and they are confused. So they are not able to do that. Brzee will help. When you put Brzee in your consciousness, Brzee is such a beautiful energy. And the Brzee will help you in your heart to open up a heart. to embrace nature, to love Bahamas and so forth. I don't want to spend more time. So one thing, when my note says here, also Brzee in the Heart Center, which make the sound, Brzee, very subtle. Okay, it's a boson-ized. Boson is the ultimate God particle. Fermion is a similar particle. And that kind of a thing will happen when you use Brzee at the level of the heart. So when you do with each module has its own functionality. So that is 4. Now I'm going to go to 5. Module 5. Dream. The module 5 is about dream. You have to dream. It's not enough to think about Brzee in this lifetime, when you are waking time. And also, there are techniques that I do in the whole program. Every minute you have to be doing Brzee. Okay. So that it becomes completely an obsession. You have to be obsessed. You are not obsessed, you cannot manifest. Completely obsess on getting this. Okay. You don't compromise. That is very important. Okay. So the obsession should continue in the dream plane also. And many people dream and then they manifest. It's called prophetic dream. In the prophetic dream, you will see what's going to happen and then it happens. Okay. It's called wish fulfillment dream. So you have to put Brzee in your dream consciousness. You should just pray to, this is another module, which probably, anyway, I will mention that. That is, now recently, I have established the first temple for Brzee in India. It's 6 feet tall. The goddess of Brzee. That was a new revelation that came, and then that teaching, it will do a lot good for you. And then you will be able to communicate with Brzee with that. So, so there's an image. So in module 6, which will be the next module, which will be a combination of all of these things. I'm not going to talk about it because people who teach this program will pull out things from all these 6 modules, 5 modules, and put it together so for you in a very compact form. Now, to come back to dream, we have to dream. Look at Conrad Hilton. He was a very poor boy, not even money to buy a reading desk. A paper boy, he was making money, selling newspapers. But one day he saw the Waldorf Astoria, not in person, but in a newspaper. Oh my God, this is the hotel I want to buy. He did dreamt about it. He put a picture of that and then kept looking. And he couldn't manifest that because it was owned by, at the time, the Queen of England. And he didn't have any idea who owned it. But what he did was, the picture helped him to manifest the first 5-star hotel. And then he went and created a number of 5-star hotels. And the last one to manifest was the Waldorf Astoria. He went to the Queen and then said, here, I want this hotel. I will pay any amount of blank check. The Queen said, no, I will give you the market price and get it. He manifested it. And he wrote about it in his book, Be My Guest, and said, everybody must have a dream. If you don't have a dream, then you cannot. The dream has to be real. Now this is my dream. This is my dream. I have to get there. I have to get it. I have to get that. I have to do this job or whatever it is. That is important. And now I want to mention one more thing, to add one more thing to the dream consciousness. The dream consciousness is, is a threshold. You are sleeping, you are in a delta state. And then you go, you are feeling drowsy, and you are in a threshold of going into sleep. And during that time, you get a wave, theta waves, most creative waves. And Edison knew about that. All his creations, ideas, inventions came from when he was in theta. In those days, he used to hold an iron ball in one of his hands and then will sit on a chair, and then he will try to evoke that kind of consciousness. And then when he gets into a theta state, he doesn't want to lose it. But he will be losing his consciousness because he's going to go to sleep. So he will lose the grip of the ball, iron ball. The ball will fall on a copper sheet that he had, a big copper sheet. Bang! Then he will open his eyes. Oh my God. But he still will have that consciousness. That's a great idea. I read this in a book by a professor from Britain. A great idea. We can do it even today, relevant. Because you have known that you are reading a book, and then when you are dozing off, and then the book will falls down. So you can use Brzee at that time. So again, they say my time is up. So these are all the 5 modules that I have touched upon. There is a detailed syllabus. That doesn't mean that I'm going to limit my talk to that. And then my presentations, I will also include more, as we go along. So that's for now. I hope that you have understood what the course is all about in a nutshell. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Pillai, for joining us. And we look forward to your empowerment and meditation at the end.
Okay. Okay,
So
I'll see you in a little bit.
What's that?
I will see you in a little bit.
Yes. So next we will hear from a few of our guests. We're a little over our time, but we do want to make sure you are inspired by some stories of people who have great success with the Brzee mantra and working with Dr. Pillai. So first, we have with us Dr. Becky Prasko. Here you are. Let me just make sure you're unmuted. Okay.
There we go. Hello, Gina. How are you today?
Oh, great. How are you?
Very, very good.
Welcome. So Dr. Becky Prasko has been studying with Dr. Pillai for about 8 years now. She's an internal medicine physician who owns her private practice in Florida. And Becky has basically a string of stories and miracles that have happened to her over the years that I've known her. And today we're going to hear about her most recent. So I'm pretty excited to hear about this. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Becky.
Yes. So first, I'd like to thank Dr. Pillai for inviting me to speak today here. And since the topic is the Brzee mantra and the Shri Brzee mantra and manifestation, I thought I'd share my most recent manifestation. I have been working on my practice, trying to expand it, add new practitioners, add nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, other physicians. And that's been going on over the course of the last year, year and a half, perhaps 2 years. And so in the interviewing of different people who I was wanting to bring into the practice, this one gentleman who was a physician assistant said, well, yeah, I really want to join your practice and move over to your office, but I have this med spa. And I said, okay, you have a med spa, and what's the story here? And he said, well, I started it about a year ago with his wife, who is one of the directors of nursing here at the local hospital. And they were doing a lot of very interesting things. The usual stuff like massage and facials and microdermabrasion and permanent makeup, all those sorts of things. But they also were doing PRP treatments, which is plasma-rich protein, both for medical reasons, for arthritis in the hips, knees, and shoulders, and tendinitis, but also for hair growth and for facials, which is one of the more popular uses of PRPs for facials, which it increases the collagen in the face. And so anyway, I went over and I toured this med spa, and it was just a fantastic thing. They had just built a beautiful facility. And so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and take on this med spa also in addition to the practice. And it was very, very exciting. So Dr. Pillai graced me with his presence and visited the spa, and he thought it was a wonderful situation as well. So here I am now with a med spa. And although that wasn't my original dream or thought, I guess I had thought about it years ago and actually kind of started to do a little bit of a med spa in my regular practice, but abandoned it because it just wasn't the right place. I really felt as if it needed to be a separate physical location because the folks who come into my practice are looking to have everything covered on insurance. And of course, most things in a aesthetic med spa are cosmetic, and they're not covered really by insurance. So it was best to have those things physically separated. And that's the way it's manifested. And right now I've got full control of the spa, and I'm growing it, bringing on new practitioners, and we're in the process of rolling out a grand opening. Probably, I'm hoping either in July, or maybe we'll do it in fall, because Florida can be kind of seasonal, and more people sometimes are here in the fall than in the heat of the summer. So it's all been very exciting and interesting, and it's something new I'm learning, which is kind of fun too. It's always good to continue learning and expanding into different directions.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love that, I personally love that it's about both medical and beauty, because that's what the archetype of Brzee is, right? The archetype of Brzee that Dr. Pillai has been talking about brings us things that help sustain us in our life, our health, our physical appearance, beauty, joy, and money, of course. So thank you so much for sharing that, Dr.
I should say in my own practice, I do a lot of Brzee, a lot of Shreem Brzee, and I particularly do more at certain times of the month, such as 11th moon. I really kind of run it in the background also a lot of the time, the Brzee with the music that was on at the beginning of this webcast. So it's kind of an important thing, I think, to continue in the background when you're wanting to manifest this much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And hopefully Dr. Becky's story inspires many of you. And as she said, it's really important to make sure we're continuing to do it. And Dr. Pillai referenced that as well. It's not a one-time deal where you chant Shreem Brzee or Brzee a few times. It's continual. So thank you, Dr. Becky.
Thank you.
So next we will move on to our next guest, who is Jerry. Here you are. Welcome. So Jerry Horton owns a financial services business and wellness center. I'll let you tell he'll tell his story. It's fascinating when he first heard from Dr. Pillai and then till now. So please tell us your experiences.
Absolutely. Basically, I met or heard of Dr. Pillai in 2004. I'm actually one of those individuals that picked up Wayne Dyer's book, Manifest Your Destiny, and there was a cassette tape in it. And there was this amazing thing called the awe meditation. It was a japa meditation. I didn't know anything about Hindus or Hindu gods or meditation. I was basically just praying, going through a very tough time in my life. Just doing that meditation changed my life completely. It was a really bad time in my life. It was going through Saturn, and my life just absolutely just was magnificently just changed overnight. It almost seemed like. So that was my first introduction to Dr. Pillai. I didn't even know who this person was, to be honest with you, but it was just the beginning of a great path at that point. And basically, my life continued to improve and improve. And then, fortunately, I was invited to go to India and had another magnificent encounter with Dr. Pillai, and was again empowered by him at that particular time. I think that was in October of 2018. So it hasn't been very long at all.
Right.
And then I went back in December to do my remedy tours. I had done my nadis, and I think I went to roughly around 32 temples at that time. And of course, if you haven't been to India, I hope that you all will be able to. But it's just awesome. A lot of my karma was mitigated at that point, and just within probably, I don't know, another 2 or 3 more weeks, I found myself back in India again with Dr. Pillai in his birthday trip. And it was at that time that I went to a Krishna temple that Dr. Pillai was actually introducing our group to. And it was that point that everything really changed for the very big change for me anyway, dramatic change. Krishna, I began seeing much more blue light. Although I had some encounters with Krishna, they weren't like to this level at all. And as I stayed in that environment and did the things that Dr. Pillai said to do, this manifested into something much greater than I could even possibly imagine. I did not have the consciousness for this type of empowerment that Dr. Pillai was able to give to me. Mm-hmm. And then soon thereafter, the full moon was very nearby, so I decided to stay in India, and I went directly to Krishna's birthplace, his temple. I was walking to the temple right when the arti was being done, and the temple was all blue. All the instruments that the priests were using to perform the arti were blue. And I asked both my wife and the guide that had taken us there, do you see any of this? I thought they just had blue lights on. They said, no, we just don't see anything blue at all. So it was at that time I knew that there was something fabulous happening at this point. And it was really at that point that I felt that Krishna had really showed me something that was extremely special. And I walked away from that temple with a whole nother understanding and an empowerment at that particular point. So that all led to some more conversations with Dr. Pillai, and the decision was made to open up a 14,000 square foot wellness center completely dedicated to Dr. Pillai and to Krishna. And I know for a fact this will end up being a world-class wellness center. It will encompass all the teachings of Dr. Pillai, plus many other new things that are obviously coming down the road with this brain empowerment and all these wonderful technologies that Dr. Pillai has been explaining to everyone today. So I couldn't be any more happier in my life. And as far as Shri Brzee is concerned, I've been doing Shri Brzee for quite some time now. I probably have an excess of 100,000 to 150,000 repetitions of that mantra. And what I've found with that mantra is that if you are truly dedicated to it, if you're almost fanatical about it, you truly want to change your wealth situation, that wealth will occur. And just to kind of give you an idea, although I had a fairly prosperous financial services business, my business increased in excess of 10 times. And we're talking about millions of dollars here. We're not talking about hundreds or dollars here. This is a large jump. And it was so much that my staffing went up to, I'm probably up to about 30 people, maybe 40 at this particular time. I don't even know the people who work for me now. That's how big it's gotten, that I need to have some kind of scaling and be able to scale this right. And it just continues to keep flowing. We're breaking yet another record this month. And this is all because my mind now is more oriented towards the things that Dr. Pillai continues to keep encouraging all of us to do, which is to get yourself into the right mindset, to remove this idea that poverty, there's some kind of honor in scarcity. There's no honor in any of that. And for all practical purposes, I couldn't be any happier at this stage of my life.
Wow, that's really something. Thank you so much. I think you really brought it all together for us, helping us understand that it's Dr. Pillai's empowerment as an enlightened master, and we've heard that from Dr. Becky as well, and many of our viewers and people who have experienced his teachings. Hopefully many of you who are watching today are, and then also what he'll do at the end of this program, which is to give us an energy empowerment and meditation that gets transmitted from a master to a student. So that's why it's important for us to be receptive. You're a perfect example of that, Jerry. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you.
All right, next we will move on to Ayana. She's our last panelist here today. There you are, welcome. So Reverend Ayana Mojica is a professional educator, artist, business, and spiritual strategist, and founder of the Feminine Wealth Movement. She has a fascinating story. I've known Ayana for a couple years now, and I never get tired of it. Please tell us your story.
Wow, thank you. First, I want to say thank you and great honor to Baba. I'm actually kind of emotional every time I see your face, Baba. Whew. And to the teachers of the Pillai Center. Here's my story, and it continues to unfold. After my fiance passed away in December of 2012, I lost everything, including my home temple. And his 3-month illness drained all of my financial resources. Everything was gone, my Mercedes, everything was gone. And I went into a deep suicidal grief that lasted about 3 years. The suicidal grief affected my business, my income, ability to make decisions in my best interest. And when I joined the Wealth Rising program, which I did in 2017, I was actually renting a room at a friend's home. And this was my 4th move since I had lost my home temple. And when I moved into that home, I heard Spirit say, you'll only be here a year. And then you're going to move into this estate in this beautiful area that I live in. And so I was thinking, okay, so I'm going to move into the estate. Okay, put that to the side. But then I was very involved in the Wealth Rising program. I was very determined to get out of the situation. I didn't know what was going on. It was quite traumatic and very, very stressful. And so I really embraced the Wealth Rising program. I embraced Lakshmi. I chanted 108 times, Shrim Brzee 108 times every day. I chanted Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha 108 times each day. I did everything that I was supposed to do in the Wealth Rising program. I was in the gold program. I cracked coconuts. I did Torpana. I did Tira Nilat Kantam 108 times to clear the negative karma, because I knew something was happening that was unusual. And I used Lyme technology and attended every fire lab that was in the program. It was pretty amazing. Beautiful program, very rich, generous program. I was very, very pleased. So during this time, while I was doing this, I was also taking money generating action steps to increase my income and stabilize my business. Then November of that year came along, and I got a 60-day notice that it was time to move. And now I'm stressed again. And I remember talking to you about this, Gina, and you said, always have a plan A and a plan B. because I didn't know where I was going. And I said, okay, pack up all my things. I don't know where I'm going. Spirit said I'm going to move to this estate. I have no idea how that's going to happen. And so I did call a friend and say, hey, you know, do you have a room for rent? That, you know, that person said yes. Had that lined up, all my things in storage. And what happened is it's close to the time for me to move. It's December 27th. I didn't know anything except for, okay, I'll move to my friend's house. And I was invited to a Christmas party, a holiday party. And I sat down. The person who invited me to the holiday party was the brother of the woman who owns the estate. She walked into the door, sat down right next to me and said, I would like you to consider moving to the estate. And I was like, you know, you have to put a poker face. I just had a poker face. I was like, okay, God, you told me about this. And I said, well, what are the conditions? She said, well, I need help with the temple. The temple here is dedicated to Krishna. And we have other gods and goddesses here. She said, I need help with the temple. And would you come? What are the conditions? She said, just come as my guest and take care of the temple. And so that's where I'm at now. I am living on this beautiful estate. I care for the temple. I care for the sacred property here. It's just amazing. I live in a very upscale neighborhood, very close to the ocean. Is actually exactly where I wanted to live. And so I just want to say thank you so much for this, the Wealth Rising Gold program, Gina, Sucharita, Lalita. Oh my gosh. Whew, it's been quite a journey. And since that time, my practice has continued to increase with the Feminine Wealth Rising program that I have. All these practices that I learned from Dr. Pillai, I pass on to them. And they are starting to prosper. My clients are prospering. Their businesses are growing. Their spirituality is increasing. It's just beautiful to see. And one of the extra blessings that I get is, you know, Sri Sai Baba shows up in my dream several weeks ago. Dr. Pillai comes in my dreams after the Muruga, the fire lab, all night, you know, in my dreams. And so I just want to say thank you. And I know this is my true path. And I'm just grateful. Thank you so much.
That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And as Ayana mentioned, she was a fantastic student. She did everything that was mentioned in the program. And that's a key to having a successful outcome, is to actually follow what's in the program. Someone asked earlier, can I just chant the mantra? Of course, you can just chant the mantra. But when we put a system together, like the Wealth Rising program that Ayana did, or other programs, or like the Brzee Abundance system that Dr. Pillai is putting together right now, it is designed in order to have you step through certain processes to make sure you're dealing with your mindset, to make sure you're dealing with your karma, and so that you can then take the next step into fully embodying the mantra. I want to thank our guests for sharing today and hopefully inspiring all of you who are watching. That is really the main point of having our guests, is so that you understand this is possible. It's possible for you. So thank you all. Now you've heard Dr. Pillai talk about this program that he put together. So I'll talk a little bit about what that is. First of all, he has put together a 6-month program, and in it are 6 modules. He's already talked to you about the topics of those modules. The takeaway that you can have from the masterclass today is that you already have the information about these 6 steps, and by the end of the program, you will have the empowerment and meditation technique from Dr. Pillai. You can take that and implement it in your life right away. In fact, I encourage you to please do that. However, if some of you want to come on this journey with Dr. Pillai, and the teachers and support staff of the Pillai Center, then we're creating an opportunity for you to be able to do that. So a little bit about what that is, and our chat support is posting the link to the details of this program. So what do we have? We know that we have these 6 components, these 6 steps that Dr. Pillai talked about already. That is just the beginning. And he even mentioned, I have too much to cover. He's recording new content for each of the modules, the 5 modules, so that you have a deeper understanding into these areas of your personality, as he mentioned. And what we're going to be doing is then following along with live group coaching every week and teaching every week, so that it helps you to incorporate the teachings from him into your everyday life. We have found that being able to support one another in community is essential to a successful program. Ayana just mentioned she was in the program, and part of the community showed up to every single call. She contributed, shared, and the people that do have profound effects. So what is in this program? So we have the Brzee Abundance System, 6 months training with Dr. Pillai, weekly live teaching calls with teachers, Pillai Center teachers selected by Dr. Pillai, a private Facebook group where you have community sharing basically 24/7. We've included special discounts for you and coupons in order to continue your evolution, your practice with Pillai Center. And if you'd like to, please take a look at the page now. You can see all those components laid out. You'll notice that there is a full payment option and that there's also payment plan options. You'll also notice that underneath that is a link for special price for Indian pricing. If you're a resident of India, you can click on that and see what that looks like. Now, there are actually 2 different options for joining the program. One is the full system, which Dr. Pillai will be talking about, or which he has been talking about, that includes everything that I just mentioned. That's your core program. Then we have a premium program or an advanced program where you'll be receiving additional support and, in fact, an exclusive mantra initiation and live teaching call with Dr. Pillai. All the other modules are pre-recorded, but in this advanced program, you'll receive the group teaching with Dr. Pillai, which is going to be live via video conference. You'll also get monthly group coaching with one of the Pillai Center teachers. You'll have a Brzee mantra magnifier device, specially personally energized by Dr. Pillai. Your birth chart, which is inscribed into a copper plate, will be placed at the feet of the Shri Brzee goddess. Dr. Pillai mentioned this. So he started the first Shri Brzee prayer center in India with this 6-foot, immensely beautiful goddess. She looks like this version, but she's 6 feet tall, and in the special clay that Dr. Pillai wanted her made. So she's beyond beautiful, and this is where we'll be conducting many new remedies or spiritual technologies on your behalf. But this particular goddess, your copper plate, which is basically a proxy for you, for your energy, will be placed at her feet, so that it's kind of like it's a continual prayer on your behalf. And the yantra is you, and you'll receive that back after 6 months. Also, before this beautiful goddess, we will be performing grand Shri Brzee or Brzee full moon fire labs, where we'll be offering her 8 unique offerings that she really loves. So that's an offer that isn't a service, actually, that's brand new, not offered anywhere else. In order to really destroy the karma and remove negativity and create protection, we have developed another unique offer, which is a Narasimha fire lab that happens every 13th moon. So that happens actually twice per month. And the 13th moons are special times for removing karma. So you'll have a very fierce protector being on your side. Then you will receive a 1-hour Vedic astrology consultation. Inside of that consultation, you'll have a an astrologer prescribed Fire Lab. Now, I just heard that Dr. Pillai also wants to include some additional support for this group, which will include him actually looking at your birth chart, which is an immense blessing. So he'll be looking and blessing your birth chart for these people who join the advanced level. We'll also be having, and this isn't even on the page yet, this is all brand new. We'll also be having a special session with a Vedic consultant to help understand how to use your particular power times best for you. So your Vedic astrology reading will be able to help you understand what times work best for you. You'll have a Fire Lab that's prescribed by the astrologer, and then the consultant will help you to really map this into your life and use different apps to be able to track these throughout the day. It's very important, as Dr. Pillai mentioned, that we understand the planets and get them on our side, and everyone is unique in that. And so this program will allow you to create a system that works best for you. In addition to all of that, I actually just showed you her. This goddess is specially designed by Dr. Pillai from a reading and meditation that he received, that this is Lakshmi, Shri Brzee Lakshmi should look like this with this special hood. And we had these custom made. You'll receive one of these in the advanced program. And in your teaching with Dr. Pillai, he will actually give you special instructions on how to use her and what to do with her in order to really boost your meditation practice. So she's amazing. So you'll receive that. And then you'll also receive several additional bonus remedies. So more 13th moon karma removal remedies happening twice per month, another monthly full moon Fire Lab for Shri Brzee. So you'll be getting 2. Then you'll be getting weekly Shri Brzee hydration ceremonies at the Remedy Center in India, and 6 monthly new moon group Tarpanam services. Dr. Pillai mentioned this earlier, how our ancestors are impacting soul genetics is so important. This done for you technique helps to clear your ancestral baggage and heal them and let them move on. So those are the basic packages that we have. There's 2 to pick from, and you're welcome to take a look at the page and see what to see all the details. There's a syllabus on the page that Dr. Pillai mentioned as well. So you can take a look at that. That's really quite extensive. Now, I do want to make mention that we have added a lot of bonuses to these to be able to support your journey in the programs. So we know that the programs can help give us the wisdom, the insight, the empowerment, the techniques from Dr. Pillai that 100% if we do, and we do them as he said, we'll be able to begin to shift into our wealth consciousness, just as Ayana had mentioned. And these bonuses are able to help you advance even beyond that. And you can take a look on the page. We have Shri Brzee writing. We have Vishwamitra Ash from the temple. We have weekly offerings to Lakshmi. We have monthly 108 flower petal offerings to Lakshmi. And we have a very special new group monthly Fire Lab that is done in alignment with the Vishwamitra temple that is in Vijayapati in India. So these are bonuses available to everyone regardless of which package you'd like to join. And there's even a 48-hour bonus that I'll get to at the end of our program. It looks like Dr. Pillai wants to get started and come back on and join us. So let's go ahead and do that now. Maybe not quite ready yet. So So also, if you have, we didn't get to questions about the programs, but I'll be hosting another webinar next week to do that, and we also can talk about it after today's meditation. So it looks like Dr. Pillai is back with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We are eagerly awaiting your meditation technique.
Okay, and before I start, I want to tell you that you don't have to meditate for a long, long time. This brain waves were produced within 2 minutes. It was a 2-minute meditation. You have to do, for practical purposes, a 1-minute meditation, which is just chanting it for 1 minute every hour or so, or whenever you get time, all through the day. Okay. And then a 15 to 20 minutes meditation, once or twice a day. That will do. Or if you want to do for hours, that's up to you. But anyway, I'm going to give you the technique. Close your eyes. Feel your entire body. Focus attention on your entire body, particularly your third eye, your right eye, your left eye, and the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, and then feel your throat, your 2 arms and hands, the chest, the heart, the stomach below, the 2 thighs, knees, shin and calves, the 2 feet. Focus attention on the 2 feet. The feet are a kind of surrogate brain, mini brain. That's reflexology. Focus attention on your big toes. The life energy is entering through them. And fill the entire body. Now visualize two beams of light entering through your eyes. And inside the two beams of light travels the sound Brzee. 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 The light and the sound travel together, and as they go into the two eyes, they dissolve. And again you go, and then another beam of one pair of light and sound getting into the eyes. One beam on the right, one beam on the left, very powerful illuminating light, and inside the light embedded is the sound Brzee. And once it's getting in, it will get dissolved. Then again, visualize another beam of light. This is how we go. Now start. Another two beams of light. Brzee. 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 Now it's dissolved. Brzee. 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 Dissolved. Now, it's not only that you are working with your eyes, the brains light up as well. The two brains. Brzee. Each time you receive the sound and then it dissolves, you are reprogramming your brain, your mind, from scarcity to abundance. Where does the power come from? The sound. Brzee. 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 The sound reprograms your eyes. The eyes also think besides seeing. Creative thoughts are in the eyes. Brzee. 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 Don't move. Brzee. The Brzee sound will go and activate key areas of the brain, making connections to create more creativity, to move from scarcity to abundance. Now, you have empowered your brain somewhat. You can visualize your creation, meaning that you will see in your eyes your creation, car, home, whatever you want. Sky is the limit. Brzee. Again, the lights, the two beams are going in. Brzee. 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 The light dissolves, the sound dissolves, the brain lights up. With a new energy, with a new program. From scarcity to abundance. Embrace all that you want to create. Now, end the meditation, but don't open your eyes. Relax. Take your own time to come back to yourself. Slowly, slowly come back to yourself. I wish you all well, and I'm glad that I was able to offer this gift to you. And about the program, this will is a discipline. Without discipline, nothing happens. So 6 months of your time will be worth spent. When you do this program. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Pillai, for joining us today and honoring us with these new teachings, as well as that incredible meditation. All of you folks at home have the teachings and the meditation, and we highly encourage you to begin implementing them right now. And as I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to take this 6-month journey with us and Dr. Pillai, then this opportunity begins now. The program starts on June 9th. The bonuses that we have put together, there's a package of about $1,400 worth of spiritual remedies in technology that expires on May 21st. Reason being is because inside of that package are 2 what Dr. Pillai is calling mantra magnifier devices, in which he will personally bless and touch. You will receive them. One will be to wear on your body, one will be to leave on your altar. And he'll teach us also in the program what we need to do with it and how to use it. For 27 days from May 22nd to the full moon of next month, they will be doing prayer offerings and energized in Dr. Pillai's personal retreat center temple. So this is quite rare. We've never done anything like this before, and especially touching and blessing a particular object that you'll then receive. That's quite rare. So that expires on May 21st. So if you are interested in that bonus, then you'll want to register by then so that we can begin your energization. Then there's a whole nother set of bonuses that I mentioned briefly earlier, and those expire on May 30th. Now, because we ran out of some time today, and because Dr. Pillai wants you to be able to see his brain while doing the Brzee mantra, we will be having a follow-up webinar next Sunday at the same time. At that time, we'll be able to see and understand more of the impact of Brzee on the brain. I'll also be able to run through some more program components and answer questions for you. And based on today's information, really assimilate it so that, or consolidate it so that you have a daily practice moving forward of what you can do with the information you've received today. So there's many options for you to begin your Brzee abundance meditation and techniques right away. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please click on the link below that says Brzee. It's at the very bottom of the page where you get to see all the program components. And do let us know if you have any questions. We're so grateful for your gathering here today. Namaste.